This this is One Voice Lynn. Stay informed. COVID vaccinations and booster shots. How does this affect our children? Finances and the cost of living, race and the fight for equity and equality. What will education look like in the future? What you should know about good health practices, employment and job interviews in today's world. You need to know. Stay connected. Stay informed. COVID vaccinations and booster shots. How does this affect our children, finances, and the cost of living, race, and the fight for equity and equality? What will education look like in the future? What you should know about good health practices, employment, and job interviews in today's world. You need to know. Stay connected. Stay informed. COVID vaccinations and booster shots. How does this affect our
One Voice on the way.
finances and the cost of living, race, and the fight for equity and equality? What will education look like in the future? What you should know about good health.
Our county. So hit that subscribe button, share this information, share this link with your friends, with your family, with your neighbors.
And so you have the experience going into Adrian Public Schools, and now you're serving as superintendent for Adrian Public School System. So while you were at Springbrook Middle School, you had to experience a pandemic. Did you experience that there at Springbrook?
Yes, absolutely. So it's been 2 years ago now that the end of March, we got the word, and it was, everyone was pretty shocked. It was a pretty incredible thing to think that schools across the entire state were being shut down because of a health pandemic. And I think, we always hear about pandemics, and I can't imagine anyone in their wildest imagination would really think that in this day and age, we would face a pandemic that would actually shut schools down. But that's exactly what we had.
Right.
And so we finished our second trimester, and that was on a Friday. We got the announcements. The next Monday, schools were closed across the state of Michigan.
Wow.
And it was, immediately, and I give our staff at Springbrook credit and across the district, immediately teachers were starting to think, okay, we're going to miss 3 months here. Our kids need us. What can we do? We knew a lot of our kids count on us for their breakfast and lunch.
Right.
How do we still fill that gap?
Right.
We know a lot of our students count on us for, academics and a lot of social emotional support. How do we fill those gaps? And it was, I think the quote of, I think it's in Japanese culture or Chinese maybe, that the same symbol for crisis is the same symbol for opportunity.
Wow.
And I really thought about that quote with this, and seeing our staff and the people in schools and the community, rally and say, okay, this is a crisis, but what are the opportunities here for us to still be able to serve our kids in our community? And obviously the schools continue to see, and I've talked about teaching staff, but it's all the staff. The food service, our food service director, Shelley Miller, continued throughout that pandemic when schools were closed, continued to provide meals for hundreds of kids in the community. Wow. So that was, again, that just shows the heart that they have for our kids, and, the teaching staff and the building administrators figuring out ways to send out, to do virtual lessons, to send out packets, because now we're at the point where we've been able to provide just about every kid with a Chromebook. At that point, we weren't at that level yet, so we knew we had to have, Chromebooks, and we did paper and pencil packets to go out as well, so that we were meeting the needs of all of those. So it was truly an incredible time in education, but I think it also showed, the resilience of our kids. It showed the resilience of teachers, and how creative and compassionate and the passion that our teachers have. Hey, the kids aren't coming to us. We got to find a way to get the stuff to them. And it was a moment. I really think that, we always talk about educators are in it for the kids, and that was a moment that showed right there. They were there for the kids when they needed them the most.
Right. So school now takes on this whole different approach, this whole new look during the pandemic, and now you're stepping into this new role, and we're still in the pandemic.
Sure.
And so what is your hope and your vision for Adrian Public Schools since the pandemic is not over?
Right. So, and I think, obviously, we continue to get to a better and better place with more kids being vaccinated, more adults being vaccinated, and more people have had it. So we're getting to that point. We are fortunate, and we look every day at the numbers. The number of infections, again, that are reported to us for kids or staff members, we're in a good place. The last positive test, I think, was a week ago. Prior to that, it had been 3 weeks since we had a positive test reported. So we are seeing some good results there that are allowing us to get, but we're still, being as cautious as possible. We're still, the teachers are taking temperatures of kids every day when they walk in to catch anything that might be there. We have moved past the mask phase at this point. That could come again if numbers increase and if the health department says so. But so I guess to answer your question, we want to dream that when we go back to school in the fall, we might be back to a more normal place, and where we can a lot of stuff that is associated with school, assemblies and plays, and we are doing, but we went a whole year where sports were on, they were off. Our musical concerts, kids didn't get to do those. So we really hope in terms of the pandemic that next year we're going to be in a place, because more people are vaccinated, because we're not seeing the infection rate up there, that our kids can get back to all those great school experiences that we all know are just as important as the academics, and that get kids to school and get them interacting with other adults. And so as far as the pandemic, we got our fingers crossed. We're hoping, we're praying, all that stuff, that in the fall we can have a regular start to the school year and continue with that. I think overall, the hopes and dreams we have for the school district is we want every kid there to be able to go through and get the support they need and be challenged with the curriculum they need. And I talked throughout the superintendent process. My goal is that every kid that walks across the stage as an Adrian High School graduate not only has that diploma, but some kind of college credit or a career and technical certification where they can walk right into a good paying job with benefits where they can support their family. So I think ultimately of any school district, but we are going to emphasize that every kid that walks through our door, we need to have the supports in place. We need to challenge them. We need to have a learning environment there where students can learn and teachers can teach, so that we can truly, when we see a kid walk in kindergarten, we know that there are pathways and opportunities for every single kid, no matter where they're coming from, to go to college if that's where they want. And college isn't for everyone, but then in that case, the career and technical education, that they can walk into a job, even the military. And I think it's important that, we've always had those paths and those conversations. We start them at the high school level. So I think we need to get into the community and start having those conversations with families as early as elementary school, because, I'm a parent, I got 4 kids. I'm looking at how am I going to pay for college? And there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of families and students that, even though they'd like it to go, they want their kids to go, they just don't know how they can do it because of the cost. And the cost has gotten outrageous. But there are avenues, there are, there's programs, there's scholarships. And I think as a school district, our job is to A, prepare them academically so that when they get to college, they can handle it and be successful. But B, it's to show families and parents those pathways on how, yes, you can get your kid there. No matter what your income is, no matter what your working status is, there's ways to do this. If your kid, if that's their passion, your kid's going to dedicate themselves and commit to it. And, I think a lot of our kids, sometimes there's a hopelessness there that, why do I need to connect and engage in school when I can't go to college because of the cost? I think there's avenues there that, part of our job as a school district is to show those kids and those families those avenues, because the kids need the families behind them, being those cheerleaders, being those, picking them up when they have failures and keep pushing, say, hey, here's the light at the end of the tunnel, you can get there. And we need to be able to connect those kids. And again, it's not just college, it's careers. It's, you don't have to go to college for every career. There's great associate's degrees, there's journeyman programs. They're saying, you want to be an electrician? There's a pathway for that. You want to be a plumber? That's a great job. There's pathways for that. So I'm kind of getting long-winded on this answer, but not only do we have to prepare them academically, we have to show the families and the kids those pathways to get there.
Absolutely. And also for the education component, to let kids know that there are alternatives to college. I think that's really important, and to let kids know that there are the trades that they can pursue, and that there's money in trades as well. So I think that's great. If I could take a kind of a turn, there's been a question about diversity, equity, and inclusion at the school levels.
Right.
So is there any training, any programs that go on that really address that category within Adrian Public Schools?
Sure. So I think one of Adrian Public Schools' greatest assets is its diversity. Like I said, my kids are in Adrian Public Schools. One of the reasons I love that they're there is because of that diversity. They're eating lunch every day with kids from different backgrounds, different races, different ethnicities, and I truly think that's the way we start to solve some of the problems we see, is by our kids being with kids of all backgrounds and learning that, hey, they're just like me. They got the same dreams, they got the same hopes, and there are differences, but I can learn from those differences, and some of that, all that stuff is, we all have our different things, but at heart, there's a lot of commonalities too, that we all have those hopes and dreams that we're going to be successful and we're going to get where we want to go. And I think that is truly one of the greatest assets of Adrian Public Schools, is we're putting kids from so many different backgrounds and races together, and they're learning that, hey, we're all on the same team, we're all humans, and that kind of stuff. And and we have had some some awareness training and that kind of stuff in the schools that again, it's just good to keep that stuff on the radar, so we know we're talking a common language and we're working through that stuff. But I think that will continue to be a huge asset of Adrian Public Schools, is that diversity. And again, just like I said before, we want that inclusion and opportunity. We want every kid that walks through that door to know that, hey, you can do whatever you want to do. Let's connect you to those pathways. And ultimately, you got to do it, but we're going to show you the pathways and give you that hope that you can get there too.
Right. So there's opportunity for every child that
Yes,
walks through the doors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's fantastic. I'm originally from the city of Detroit. I
Okay.
raised my siblings here, and two other children that I work with their parents closely, and raised them, and they attended and graduated from Adrian Public Schools.
Okay.
And I think that diversity and being able to come to the table and have relationships within the school was a component that I really appreciated. Because sometimes the challenge of coming from from my background in Detroit, where the population is majority African American, and then you're bringing an African American child into a population that's quite different.
Sure.
And that culture shock and that kind of shell shock that they experience when they first walk through the doors, and then what things are in place that's really going to help them to really blend into this new environment.
Sure.
And I think that Adrian Public Schools have done a good job with being intentional with their programming and how they address race relations. So that's always the one question is, okay, Nate Parker's there now. So what's new? What's going to change? What things are going to be enhanced? And what kind of programs are going to come through the doors?
Okay.
So, but is there anything else that you would like to let the school population know about that will be walking through those doors?
Yep, sure. And I think there's probably a lot of things, and I'd like to do this again sometime, and maybe frequently as we roll new programs and that kind of thing out. But one piece I want to talk about is, and this is just on the brainstorming section right now, but I really want to do a big literacy push come the start of the school year in the fall. And we all know that everything we do in a school and in a community, that literacy is such a huge piece of that. So we're looking at, what can we do in the schools, but also we want to partner with the community to get into those homes and those family, and we all, the research is there. Kids who read growing up are going to be more successful in school, which means they're going to be more successful in jobs, in whatever that is. So, and again, like I said, this is all on the drawing board. I haven't really thought this all, but one idea I have is to have almost, whether we call it a podcast or live stream, every night at 7:00, we have celebrity readers on. It might be D'Angelo Boone, it might be the mayor of Adrian, it might be, if we can find a professional athlete, it might be a varsity, basketball player, something. And hey, families, 7:00. Just about everybody's got a phone that they can connect to a video. Get your kids on here. The celebrity reader's gonna read for 20 minutes. Then we ask that you read another 20 minutes with that kid, because research shows even 20 minutes of reading, the educational and the benefits and long-term employment benefits of kids who read 20 minutes a night coming up is just astounding. It's huge. So again, how do we? Again, we know every one of our families wants what's best for their kids and wants to do what's best for their kids. Right. And, they often ask, what can I do at home? And I'm, again, families are working. The pandemic has hit our community hard. Families are working. They're struggling to get by sometimes. But if they can, for that 20, even if it's with the grandparents, hey, 7:00 every night, get on, you're going to read a book, and then afterwards spend another 20 minutes reading with them. I really think that'll have a huge impact on the success of our kids in school. So that's one again, it's at the brainstorming phase right now. It's going to take a lot of work and partnerships to put that together, but that is something I think can have a huge impact for our community.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And again, Nate Parker, I thank you for joining us today and being a part of the show. And looking forward to having you back sometime in the future, the more near future.
Sure.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. And again, for our audience, we want to thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of the show as well. Again, this is brought to you by United Way of Monroe and Lenawee counties. And we encourage you to hit that subscribe button, jot down your comments and your questions. And even if you have questions for Nate Parker, the Superintendent of Adrian Public Schools, put that in the comments section. We'll be sure to get that question over and bring you an answer at some point. Again, thank you again for joining us. One Voice Lenawee every second and fourth Monday at 6 p.m. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.